Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us on Sports Central. I'm Mark Jackson. To my right, to your left on your television screen,
dial,
hopefully in high definition, is Neal Duncan, the new permanent co-host of Sports Central. Nice send-off for Hank Longo last week, and wow, did a great job. And
he did, and he meant
we had a lot of fun
to our organization, Polk County Tourism and Sports Marketing, but also to this show, Sports Central. We've been doing it for quite a while, but before we get too far down, this segment brought to us by the Florida Department of Citrus. We want to thank them as well.
Wow, proud to have them in Polk County. You know what?
Absolutely.
I mean, citrus, one of the big three industries here in the county, and to have the state organization like that is impressive. Well, Neal, we talked a long time about Polk County being a very diverse county when it comes to sports and opportunities to participate in virtually everything, with the exception of the winter sports.
Right.
However, mountain biking, more accurately known or called now off-road cycling. The national governing body is USA Cycling. Of course, they field the official Olympic team in the sport of cycling, both the criteriums and off-road. I think we're going to have to get to our special guest, David Berger, to talk about it a little bit. But NORBA, National Off-Road Bicycle Association, also based in Colorado Springs, and I'm not really sure about the structure much anymore. I haven't been out there to visit with those folks in at least a couple of years. But
well, I'm excited to talk to David about the Florida State Championship Series number 7. And David, welcome to the show. We appreciate you coming on, and tell us about this event.
Well, it's again, a mountain biking event is a common term for it, but it's bicycle racing on off-road trails. The trail system there at Hart Park is very challenging, and we have riders from all over the state coming up to compete. Actually, some from out of state as well, and everything from beginners to professionals.
David, the organization itself, I mean, it's been amazing to watch you grow. You've been around since 1993. You and your wife, Terry, founded the organization and have grown exponentially. I mean, you're all over the place, from the panhandle of Florida all the way down to Miami, sites and competition venues throughout the Southeast. But when you think of off-road cycling, Polk County or Central Florida doesn't really come to mind, but some of the best cyclists, off-road cyclists in the country, have come out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a misnomer again about mountain biking in Florida. The two words just don't go together. But ironically, some of the best riders in the Southeast come from Central South Florida, especially the Miami area. We've got national competitors that have been on the podiums at big events out west, and so we're really proud of the cycling standing that we have, and I'm not sure of the reasons. Some say it's because we get to ride all year, but I think there's more to it than that. There's always been a lot of competition in Florida, and the trail systems tend to be very technical, very demanding.
We'll talk about the trails itself. It's this particular event at Carteret is 6.5 miles, correct? Tell us, if you go out there and compete in this, what would you be experiencing, and what is the course layout like?
Well, it's an old an old phosphate mine area. So they've got a lot of overburden built up, and they have these, they call them fingers. So it's basically ridges, and they're surrounded by lakes, usually on 3 sides. So a lot of the trails are following those fingers. Some of it is open area with double track, very easy, so it's kind of a mix between the two. Because there's a race, we tend to tone it down just a little bit. We take some of the more technical stuff out, but it's got a lot of ups and downs, say 10, 20 feet at a time that just undulate. So it's, for the riders, it's very, very popular because it has a tremendous amount of flow, and it has enough technical challenge to keep everybody excited.
David, we were talking a little bit earlier about the event itself, which is the Florida State Championship Series 7, which means there's essentially a number of races that take place. But out at Loyce Hart Park, more commonly known, or formerly known, is Carter Road.
I guess
Park.
I referred to it as Carter Road.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Earlier, but the fact of the matter is, when I've been out there and literally have walked those trails, and with some of the guys from Kent Hickman, from Ridge Riders, and so on, I'm going, really? You guys are going to ride down this, and it's through the tree. I mean, it is like, but you alluded to it earlier. it's a technical course, and is that one of the things you think that makes these Florida riders or Southeastern riders that much better, is that they're able to navigate these very difficult, maybe not up and down mountainous so much, but the technical side of things and riding on thin trails and all of that?
I think it definitely is a factor. For instance, we'll have riders that come from Florida. We do another series that's throughout the Southeast called the Cirque Series or Southeastern Regional Championship. And we go up into the mountains in Tennessee and Virginia and north of Atlanta. The riders that come up from Florida and compete there tend to do very well. And it's kind of a surprise, and I've heard this across the board, that the Florida riders go the fastest downhill. And for what reason, I'm not sure, but I've always said it's just because they don't know any better.
I was getting ready to ask this because they don't train on that, they just don't know any better.
Yeah, they're like, wow, I don't have to pedal. This is great. But no, it's Florida has always been like that, very competitive. So.
Now this is the 7th. There's 9, correct?
Right. There's 9 in the series.
Where else in the state are you going, and how does that compare to what we have here in Polk County?
Well, one of the neat things about this series in the state of Florida is you get so much diversity in the trail systems. We start off in the Panhandle in Tallahassee. It's kind of like a Georgia course. It's rolling hills, more of a red clay. Trails are more open. Then we go over to Fernandina Beach in the northeast corner of the state. Literally 100 feet from the ocean, so it's a relatively flat, sandy course. Then we go down to Miami, again, more of the technical stuff down there. We're in Ocala, where it's kind of a mix of hard pack and rolling hills. Everything has a different flavor to it. One of the courses we'll be going to next week is in Fort Myers. It's probably the flattest course we have, but one of the funnest, just the way it's laid out. So,
Dave, digress just a little bit. A lot of people ask us, well, how do you get involved in the sports industry? How do people, in your particular case, you have a couple of world-class series here that are well organized. They always have been. You have one of the best reputations in the industry. You and your wife Terry started Gone Riding in 1993. It kind of morphed into something bigger and better than you probably ever thought. Tell us a little bit about your career in sports and how that evolved.
Yeah, it did kind of happen by accident, I guess. Personally, I'd always been involved in some kind of individual sports, whether it was racquetball or running or something like that. I got into motorcycle racing when I was young and did that for a long time, motocross. And when I found out my son was going to be born, I kind of had a life-changing moment there, and I said, I need to do something a little bit safer, a little bit less expensive. And I looked around in my garage wall, and I saw an old mountain bike that had been hanging for about 10 years I had never used. And I dusted it off, put new tires on it, and went out mountain bike racing the next weekend and just fell in love with it. And back then, it was in the late 80s, it was still kind of new. The sport was just developing. And it was just a few years later that we decided to try putting on an event. Because I'd been to so many events from a participant point of view, I felt like I knew what to look for. So.
Yeah.
Well, the event we're talking about is the Florida State Championship Series, and the 7th event of 9, this will be November 17th, and that's at Lois Hart Park in Lakeland, is a sanctioned event, correct?
Yes, USA Cycling sanctioned event, yes.
Is Norba still around?
Norba fell under the umbrella of USA Cycling. Mm-hmm. They still use the term, but the organization itself is part of USA Cycling.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's and we had quite a bit of dealings with them a few years ago, and admittedly, the last couple of years haven't really followed it as much as I should have. But great organization. And of course, we're in the second year midpoint of the quadrennium for the Summer Olympics. Sochi coming up in just a couple of months here for the Winter Olympics. But as things ramp up in preparation for the Olympics, do you see more people, or do you see that wave coming in after the Olympics and the popularity via TV and so on?
I think the Olympics definitely has an effect. The sport in general, when the Olympics first had mountain biking in Atlanta in 1996, mm-hmm. we saw a huge rise in interest in the sport. It kind of waned a little bit, and it's definitely coming back, but the more television coverage, the better. And there are, we field a strong team in the U.S. cycling, and I think it always helps.
What time does the event start on the 17th?
8:30 we kick off with the kids race, and this is a short, safe course that usually lasts about 10 minutes. The kids are anywhere from 3 to 5 years old. We have 4 different groupings, 6 to 8s, 9 to 11s, and then we have a girls class. And that's a really fun event. It's all the kids get a medal and a bag of prizes, and they get up on the podium. We take their pictures. So it's a real kick to do that. 9:30,
As young as 3 years old.
Yes, 3.
We had an interview last
2 years.
night, everybody, on our radio show, Sports Central radio show, and so I had little insights early, but 3 years old. Sometimes some of them are on trikes.
That's
Not to take words
how
out of
you
your
get.
mouth, but I'm like,
That's how they get started.
That's good stuff.
One of our best riders in Florida, that's come out of Florida, Ryan Woodall, is professional right now. That's where he started. He started in the very first kids class, and it's neat to watch him grow up like that.
The adults are at 9:30, and then there's a second wave at 10:30 or 11:30.
11:30.
11:30
Yeah.
is the second wave.
The 9:30 is the more advanced riders. They'll go
Okay.
a longer distance.
Okay.
And then 11:30 is one of our bigger groups, but it's more of the base level riders.
If people want to participate, how do they get involved, or where can they go for more information?
GoneRiding.com is the best place to start. You can register online. There's a ton of information there. We have a whole calendar of events. You can just pick the events you want to focus on. If you want something more immediate, we'll be out at the park tomorrow from 12 to 5 doing pre-registration if you want to get involved that way. You also have a chance to see the course and look around. There's a lot of riders that come out and pre-ride the course, and that's very important for them to do that.
That's some great stuff. The opportunity also to get out, David, and for families that may be interesting. I mean, it's a great sport. It's sort of a lifetime sport, and so families can get out virtually any age and go to Gone, G-O-N-E, Riding, GoneRiding.com. And you can get more information if you want to get involved in the sport. Better yet, get out to Loyce Hart Park, which is in South Lakeland, formerly known as Carter Road Park, and you can check out some of the action, talk to David himself and some of the experts. I know there's some bike shops out there, so wow, thanks so much for joining us. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well.